Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Whoa, my camera is really bright. Sorry about that, folks. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the final regional of TMWT Regionals for NCSA. I hope you're all excited as I am. There we go. Now you can see my pretty face. Hello, everyone. Sorry about that. But here we go. I am Randomize. I'm your host, your broadcaster, and I'm going to be bringing you all on an awesome journey that is the final regional here for NCSA. We only have 3 matches left to happen, as we only had 8 teams that signed up this one. And you know what? In the end of the day, it's understandable. This is the more the cutthroat kind of tournament anyway, because it really only matters for those that have the points to really push for that wild card slots. So very excited to see what's going to happen today. I hope you all in the chat are also excited. Yesterday, we saw some insane things. For example, Damascus Gaming getting eliminated out of the tournament by Yep Team, who we will be seeing in our first match here. Air White also falling down to Trolla, who is currently sitting in the grand finals. Air Kentucky also got knocked down by Trolla, who is waiting in the loser bracket finals. So whoever wins this one between Air White and Yep Team will be going up against Air Kentucky. And then from there, we'll be going up against Trolla. Now, it's very big and important because right now, Air White is locked in, as well as Damascus Gaming. They are both locked in. Doesn't matter what happens during this tournament. They will be fine, and they will be locking in their wildcard spots. But we got a few teams in here that are actually battling for a wildcard spot. Yep Team is currently in the top 4 point-wise, but there could even be a chance, maybe a small chance of them getting knocked out of the top 4, while we have Air Kentucky and Trolla, the 2 teams that are hanging out right now, are actually the teams that are fighting to get in that 3rd or 4th slot in the wild card. So this is going to be this is the gauntlet. This is the most important moment for a lot of these players if they want to be pushing towards that wild card and get themselves all the way to the World Championships. I'm very excited for this, folks. I hope you are too. So we're going to be getting started momentarily as the players are getting in here. They're going to be doing the pick and ban system, as you can see on the channel, is going to be popping up in just momentarily. I hope you all have been doing great since last night. I've had a lot of fun. It's been an honor to be on this stream and to broadcast some really good quality content and good competition in the NCSA part of Trackmania. So yeah, just so that we can get like pretty much a good idea of what I mean. So 100% Canadians, they're out. They're not going to be able to stay in. They're currently sitting in 4th in points wise, but they haven't played this region. And honestly, I did get word that if 100% Canadians do not accept their spot in the wild card for the NCSA, a runner-up team will actually take their slot. But like I said, we already have 3 other teams. Yep Team is already in there, but we also have Air Kentucky and Trolla also fighting their way into there. And it's insane to think that Trolla was originally started as just a team for fun. Now actually have a chance to go for a wild card. They have to win it all to even have a chance, because then it will come down to matchmaking, where Trolla and Air Kentucky will probably be grinding away at it. But let's get into this one. We got the pick and bans going, and let's check it out on your screen. Frosty banned by the blue team. Excuse me. And Vortex is actually banned by the red team. Now, if I remember correctly, blue team will be Air White, as they are the higher seed. And Yep Team was the red team. So Air White banning Frosty. Yep banning Vortex. And the first pick will be Grip. Second one will be Airwalk. Okay, I like that. Grip and Airwalk. Now, it's really hard to predict right now, just seeing how the players have been kind of going back and forth with what maps they would think they would want to pick, because of the fact that everyone has been practicing. I would probably say almost all the maps now. There's no comfortability moment of which one they'll be picking. So, because at this point, almost everyone knows everything. And one of the things that I really hope not to see is a Game 7, because the random picked map is actually Speed. And I know for a fact that Air White do not like Speed, nor did they practice that. So good luck to them. But our map order will be, in fact, Grip, Airwalk, Control, Pool, Off-Road, Braking, and if we need to go to that 7th game, it will be Speed. I don't know if we can do maybe predictions in the chat, but if we could, let me know in the chat who you think is going to win this one. Put a 1 in the chat for Airwalk. Put a 2 in the chat if you're a Yep Team fan. Or just put a Yep in there. Screw it. Screw the number. Put a Yep in there as we're going to be getting this one underway momentarily. Or we could put a 3. That's fine, too. I do see a lot of Yeps in there. And we have an 8. So here we go. We're going to be getting started into this one. First map will be on Grip, chosen by Air White. Oh my, 25K. Chloe, you're going to be poor after this. So I'm excited for this. It's going to be day 2. Sorry, one more time. Oh, let me check the predictions. Wow. Okay, yeah, 92% is Air White. Okay. So even though in the chat it looks like it's not Air White, it's it's looking like most people want Air White to win this one. So here we go. Game 1 started. We're gonna hop on Charles and see what exactly these teams can do. Again, I got some cool little broadcasting stuff going on for y'all. You may be able to enjoy it. Maybe get to check it out a little bit later, but here we go. Starting off on Grip. Simon all the way in the back. Already falling a little bit behind Nats now. Doing a good job staying within the pack, but right as I said that, ends up bonking there, and now it's up to Charles and Nats. Simon is not too far behind them, about a second behind Charles. The MQS holding a fairly good lead as we go into the identity. Charles is looking like he's pushing this one. He's looking like he's trying to get into that one. Check on your screen to see how far Nats is doing. Nats is actually sticking behind, coming into third. Oh, but Charles ends up clipping. And Simon will not be able to finish this one. So that's going to be all she wrote for this first round. And starting off again with another draw. It seems that it is the stream curse that every round has to start on a draw, and if it doesn't, chaos will happen in the world. On our second round, Simon did not reach that checkpoint, so he will not be following with the rest of the pack. Charles up in front, BMQS. Doing a good job keeping the grip on the plastic. We'll see if the three of them decide to go low. They're able to keep that one working. Charles doing a good job holding the lead. BMQS has a little bit better exit speed, it looks like. Both of them going for the inside line. And BMQS now takes over, going into the identity in first. Charles may be the one that looked to push a little bit harder. He did make a mistake in that last round, trying to really get up to that 200 mark without losing that grip. Charles goes on the inside and gets in there, and a victory for them. And Air White will bounce back from a little bit of a mistake in the first round. Nicely done as Charles was able to really push through that identity. Really, again, you can get up to about 200 speed units and really try to hold that the two wheels. So nicely done by Charles to be able to get on that inside and push his way into first place. Definitely a good break for Air White as we go into this next round. Hopefully Simon will be able to kind of rebound for the first few rounds. Simon has been struggling in the back. Again, losing that gear. If you listen closely, you can actually hear that gear go away. Falling really far behind. He's still struggling with that gear back there, so gonna have to be careful with that one, as you really want to hold on to that fourth gear the entire time. Into the identity now. Charles and BMQS both battling their way up there. Looking to finish this one as we can get both POVs on your screen. Oh, but Charles ends up falling off. It's Nats that are going to be up against BMQS, and they get in there. Oh, that's so unfortunate of that happening, but, you know, it's going to happen. Let's get back into tying up this match. Again, it's just, you know, in the end of the day, as much as we were making a lot of jokes about draw after draw after draw, it just shows how tight the competition is, for sure, on the higher, on the higher echelon of the NCSA players. Simon, again, all the way in the back. Doesn't seem to be his strong suit of a map as he's struggling, but he was able to hold that fourth gear this time. BMQS a little bit behind Charles. Does a nice job getting that outside line, but turns a little bit harder. That seems to also still be in the picture. Simon not too far behind. Nats ends up jumping a little bit farther out. Into the identity we go. BMQS has been able to really push this one. Charles risking a little bit too hard and tends to make a little bit of mistakes. Able to rebound from that one. Actually, a bump from BMQS. He actually doesn't even finish, and we have an ace. BMQS just lost all that speed and could not get control and just falls right off. This is a good horn. That's a good horn for the situation these guys are in. An ace and Air White now in track point. Looking for an ace to finish this one up. Yep, team also wants an ace to get themselves into track point for next round. Hopefully at this point, Simon will be able to catch up with his team and help out a little bit. Oh, not looking well for Simon right now. BMQS is the only one in contention to take on Air White at this point. Oh, right as I say that, it seems the commentator curse is still upon me. I still have the power that I've been wanting all this time. Into the water now, and nicely done as they set this one up into the identity. Charles slows down a little bit, but not a big deal. Nats up in front doing a good job leading the crew, and just has to finish this one off. Ooh, Simon makes a mistake, and at this point it's looking like another ace in the books. And that's it. First map going to Air White. Was their map pick, and they were able to win that one 10-4. Nicely done by Air White. Best of sevens, of course, though. Plenty of Trackmania up ahead. They do not have to fret on a loss like that. Again, it's expected to win on your map pick. So now we are on Yep Team's map pick, which is the one and only Airwalk. And this one is definitely a fun map to play. I know a lot of people don't tend to like playing Airwalk, but I personally enjoy this map. So let's see how much these guys enjoy playing on these maps. Hopefully we'll be able to see Simon back into the fight, as he was having a rough beginning and a rocky start there. Already falling behind the pack, but not too far behind. 0.3. Plenty of time to recover. Into the jump now. Nats goes a little bit wide, but he'll be able to rebound on this one. Oh, Simon ends up clipping the back wheel. So now, again, BMQS versus Charles up in front with Nats on the assist in the back now. Going to the no break. You want to come a little bit wider so you have a little bit more of a straight line to get into this one. Wasn't sure if Charles bumped the wall there or not. It looks like it, but he seems to be still keeping all his speed and is neck to neck with BMQS, so it doesn't seem too bad. Into the identity we go, as Charles actually will lead us into the identity now. Charles goes a little bit wide. BMQS ends up missing, and that's going to be an ace. Wait, no, where did Charles go? BMQS is going to actually get this one and finish. Charles is struggling to finish this one. We could actually look at a draw. We do. Simon gets in, and ain't no way did that just happen. Plenty of lead, and unfortunately makes a huge mistake at the end there. And it is the hardest part, at least for observing-wise, to be able to see everything that's going on in that identity. So, again, we start with a draw. Simon, again, farther in the back, but this time in the pack. Nicely done by everyone to try to contain as much speed, keep the grip as you can build your speed going in to this dirt down reactor part. And now I have to be careful on this, not to go too close to the wall and not lose any grip. Nicely done by Charles and BMQS. Nats not too far behind, but Charles will be the one looking like to lead us again into the identity. And hopefully this time will not make a mistake as we go up into the air now. Charles is there. He's able to get a touch. Nats, unfortunately misses that one. Charles again misses, and BMQS is going to walk that one in. Unfortunate for them that this happened. Again, it is not a map for them. That spring is just not working well for Air White, unfortunately. Hopefully they'll be able to, shall I say, rebound into the finish line the first try, as we now move into the third round of Airwalk. Simon wasn't really sure what happened back there, but unfortunately Simon made a mistake. Doesn't make the jump. So now Air White actually has a good opportunity to really try and get an ace, as they are only battling BMQS. Oh, and as I say that, BMQS actually makes a mistake and bumps the back end of its car into that wall. So now, Nats and Charles, not a lot of pressure going into this one. Don't need to make any sudden moves. Let's see if either of them will get into this one. We'll try to get both of them on your screen as they both go up there. And it looks like Nats will make the first mistake. BMQS will still get in there. Simon will follow. And just like that, and what it looked like it was going to be an easy ace turns only into a victory, as Nats was not able to complete it the first try. But that is a bounce back that Air White definitely needed. Simon able to complete this one, and now rocking with the rest of the pack. So we go up to the first spring, almost hitting the wall, so it's going to be a little slow here. Got to be careful not to clip his wheels. Nats also falls a little bit behind, but still with the pack. Simon had to really release to not bump into any of those walls, and now starting to fall. 0.9, almost a second behind, as the rest of the pack is starting to really push forward. Charles going with the wide line again. Nats loses a little bit of grip, so he's going to be a little bit slower than he wants to be around that drift. But BMQS, again, still in this pack, ready to fight this one out as we go up into the identity again. And we have the identity camera up for you so you can see a little bit better what's going on up there. Charles will finish this one. The first try for everyone this time. Nicely done by them, as finally no one tends to make too much of a mistake. A victory in the side of Air White puts them at a 1-point deficit now, 5-6. Still leading in the series, though. And remember, this is a double elimination that started yesterday. We are starting in the elimination side of the bracket. It's all gauntlet here. Ooh, Simon making a mistake in the back there. But at this point, it's only... You cannot lose from here. And there will not be a bracket reset either. So, this is it. Lose, you're out. Win, you're good. Ooh, Nats will have to take up the lead for Charles and try to catch up to BMQS. Charles snagged a little bit of the scenery. Simon still pretty far behind. BMQS opts to not do the air brake, get the wheel down, and up in the air we go. BMQS opting for the low line. Nats ends up going a little wide. He's still able to finish that one. And Simon will follow up in the rear. A draw will happen, and Yep Team now in track point position. 7-6. Still a close match. Yep Team is in a comfortable position to just play this a little bit safer. Not that safe. Fortunately, Simon just seems to be not having one of his best days today. So it is up to BMQS again to get up in front. Try to take that first place position and force another draw. If Nats can hold this first position and Charles can't get up front, we could look to actually tie up the entire map again. We could be seeing an 8-8 and then really, really make it tighter for the next few rounds. Charles goes for the air brake option, and because of that, he got a little bit too up ahead and bonked his nose. So into the identity we go. Nats gets that jump. Oh, Nats ends up going a little bit slower, and Simon's going to be able to finish this one And unfortunately, Charles now makes the mistake and not able to hit that second spring. And that's going to be a victory for Yep Team. 9-7, folks. You know what that means. Nothing else will happen after this one. This is the final round of Airwalk. Simon again. Going a little wide here, but still sort of with the pack. That's a little close to that one. Ends up working out for him. Simon had to release, and he's going to end up falling a little bit behind. BMQS now, again, the only one who is fighting out Charles and Nats on Air White. BMQS only needs second place and can secure the map win. Nats will have to be the one to make the push. Charles is also up in front. This is where things are going to get pretty dicey. As we saw, these players all having a little bit of problems here as we go into the identity. Nats looks to go a little bit wide. BMQS is going to get in there, and because of that, doesn't matter what happens here, the map will, in fact, go to Yep Team.
Draw.
So, good on to Yep Team to win their map pick. Close calls left and right. You really only need to come down to Air White to capitalize on the identity, and unfortunately, a lot of mistakes happening in that identity, and they gave away one of the maps. So now we are back on Air White's pick, which is Control. A lot of this map is based on just really, really good pace with a little bit of a gimmick of controlling your car in the air. So it should be fun either way to see how these guys are going to be able to pull this one off. We're going to start on board with Nats. As Nats and Charles have both put on some really good times on this map. The MQS, again, is the one that is right now sandwiched between Air White. Simon looking to try to just stay with them. Ooh, nicely done by BMQS going up that gap. And able to land quickly. Push ahead. Nats will fall behind. So between Charles and BMQS. Simon falling pretty far behind up into the ice wall now. Nicely done landing for all three players, and they're going to be able to get through that one. Simon as well was able to get a pretty good landing in the back as he's not falling too far behind. But into the identity we go. Charles, not really sure what happened there. Made a mistake, so we're going to stay on board with Nats as BMQS ends up clipping the bottom of his car. Charles also seemed to have a little bit of a problem. Nats will be able to be the first one in. BMQS looking to try to get down. He does, and it's going to be a victory starting off with Air White. A lot of mistakes happening in the IDs today. Maybe the nerves are kicking in because everyone knows a lot of points are on the table now to grab, and it's just how much guts you have to really push and how much you're really willing to risk. Nicely done on the first control part as all three players will push forward. Simon, unfortunately, all the way in the back, and BMQS is going to make a bit of a mistake. Still continuously making mistakes. Simon still not even up to the checkpoint that they are currently on. So Nats and Charles are going to be up in front now. Nicely done. At this point, they're going to look over and notice everything is fine. They're just going to be relaxing their way through this one. No reason to push, to pressure yourselves. But the MQS is starting to catch up a little bit. Nats just needs to land this one. And nicely done. An ace for Air White. Bringing them up 5-1. Simon will have to finish off again in 4th place. Not really a good day for Simon, it looks like. Unfortunately, I feel bad that this seems to be the day where everything goes wrong, the cosmos don't align, and yada yada yada, whatever you want to say that people say when things go wrong. But hopefully Cosmos will be able to, or excuse me, not Cosmos, Simon will be able to bounce back Oh, speaking of bouncing, Charles bouncing off the little piece of plastic. And Nats also making a mistake. Team synergy for Air White, but it's not the synergy you kind of want. Excuse me. Not talking about you. I'm talking about the cosmos in the air, or in the sky, the stars. But yeah, now at this point, Simon is finally up in front, but we do have someone making a real push, and that is Charles in the background. I'm going to keep that up for you. Simon ends up making a mistake. Charles is looking to push up ahead and gets past right there. Charles is now into play. Can stop the ace. The real fight is happening right here. Charles is going to be up. Nat's also starting to catch up a little bit. Simon goes lower than Charles. Simon is going to be able to get in there. Oh, but Charles actually gets around fast enough. Are you kidding me? He's still able to make the landing work out for him and stop the ace from happening.
Victory.
And a victory will go to Yep, giving them 2 points. But Air White still up ahead. 6-3 now. Air White, even with an ace, is still not going to be done with this map. They will need at least 1 more point to get into track point position. Charles unfortunately making a mistake early, and he's going to be out of that one. Simon falling a little bit behind the rest of the group. Ooh, struggling a little bit with that. That jump is evil. If you mess up even a little bit, you can just keep bouncing off and losing a lot of your speed. So now BMQS up in front. Nats looking to try to push into here. Really going to come down to this ice jump. Nats will be the first one to land, so he's going to be able to get a little more speed out of this, but he is wiggling. He's got to be careful with this one. And it's actually Simon that's coming up now. Charles is starting to catch up. He's getting into this fight as we go into the identity now. Nats is going to be the first one up. Very high. Can he make this one work? He can. And Charles will not be able to overtake. But still, nicely done. Falling far behind and still getting in there for a victory. Now, Air White in track point. And they could just get a victory at least. 2 points to close this one out on their map pick of Control. All 4 players now. We're finally back into a race where everyone is in the race. BMQS doing a good job landing up as well as Charles and Nats. Simon goes a little bit wide again, so he starts to fall behind. 0.3 behind his own teammate. BMQS 0.4 behind Charles. Goes up a little bit high, but still able to build enough speed here. Nats will in fall behind. Charles goes for the high line, and it works out really well for him. Charles still up in front. BMQS, unfortunately, will make a mistake in the back. So now Charles in the lead here. Nats can just follow along. BMQS needs to go for a hard push here and try to beat Charles down, but he does not, and Nats will also follow. That is it. It's going to be Air White who will take control their second map and make the series 2-1. I love that horn.
Victory.
Normally I'd turn horns off, but I love that horn. So, 2-1. And every time it seems that it's an Air White map, it's 5 or less points that come out from the Yep side. Whereas when it was, so it was 10-4 for Grip, 10-5 in Control. But when it was Yep's team's pick, it was 8-10, only a 2-point difference. And now I know for sure that Charles has a really good time on this map. BMQS also has a really good time on this map on Pool. It is Yep team's pick. But this is the hardest part about pick and ban systems. You may have picked a map that you liked, but it may be the other team's best map as well. Simon still along with the pack on this one. Gotta be careful not to lose too much grip here. Every time I say something, that happens, man. Simon goes flying off. He's going to be pretty much out of this fight. Charles makes a mistake now, and now it's down to Nats and BMQS. The two of them are going to be battling up in front. Nats does a good job trying to get in front of BMQS, but BMQS goes for the wider line, allowing him to build up speed faster. Into the grass. Go for the low line to try to build as much speed coming up this hill. And into the water we go. BMQS really does get ahead, and it looking like BMQS could actually walk away with this one. He does. He'll get into that one. And Simon, unfortunately, too far behind, as Charles will be the one to finish. So a draw again. This is how we start everything, apparently. We're always going to be starting with draws. Draws this, draws that. But, it was a scary start for Yep Team, but thank goodness BMQS was able to stay in front and be able to finish that one off and force a draw. Unfortunately, Nats clips that black barrier and gets kicked out from this pack. So now the roles have flipped for the teams. Charles will now be the one trying to deny a victory or an ace. With BMQS breathing down his neck, and Simon, wicked gameplay going on from BMQS as he goes flipping around. So now Charles is the only one who's going to be battling it. We do seem to have a little bit of a potential battle in the back. BMQS is not too far behind Charles, actually. But everyone's pretty spread out at this point. This is one of the hardest parts about running a broadcast is you never know which one to watch, but you can see two screens happening at once now. Charles will get in there, BMQS will get in, and now it's just down to Nats to finish this one up. So a victory going towards Yep.
Victory.
And Simon is the one that will lead us into that one. Simon, again, having some troubles at the beginning, but seems to be bouncing back nicely. Sometimes it just takes a little bit longer to warm up. That's all it is. Just take some time. Charles will be the one leading into the pack. We've got to be careful with this grip moment here. Nicely done. Oh, BMQS makes some mistakes. And now Simon, again, it just seems to be always a 2v1. Yet somehow Yep Team still pulls out a victory. Something. They always pull out something because Air White will always have two players up in front, and then a big mistake will happen somewhere near the identity. And as I say that, both Yep Team has made mistakes. So Air White just needs to communicate that everything's all right. And just kind of walk this one in. Simon is not too far behind, but there's going to be no mistakes coming out of the two of these guys. So that is all she wrote for that round. An ace going for Air White, bringing them up to 5. Yep Team denied any points. Yeah, my caster curse has been amazing for the past 2 days. I dictate the games. So, PayPal if you want your team to win. I'm just saying. No, I'm kidding. No, none of that. None of that. Just a joke. Air White now in the lead. And they are leading on Yep Team's second pick. That is Pool. Give me $0. Thank you. Perfect. We got a full match going on this time. Air White has both their players up front. Yep Team right behind, but no one with any crucial mistakes yet. Oh, Nats goes a little bit wide on that grass, but still has a little bit of exit speed to work with. BMQS now really looking to fight his way into this group. Charles goes a little bit wide. BMQS ends up floating as the reset doesn't work for him, and he slides out. And another ace for Air White. Track point as well. Only 2 points left for Air White to take Yep Team's map pick and put themselves onto match point. Minus water, but it's summer, my guy. We need this water. Players got to cool off. Oh, okay, Simon. Okay. Pulling out the ruler and checking how many meters he has left. Centimeters or something to really check if he's going to hit that corner, but of course then smacks the next wall later on. Compliment them, and this is what they do. Yeah. Whoop. Another mistake coming out from Nats as well. Nats ends up bumping out and really struggling, but Simon as well is going to be struggling back there. So going into the identity, Charles and BMQS. They both end up floating. Charles is going to bump there, though. But it's going to be a draw more than likely if Simon is able to walk this one. Yep, Nats was able to finish that one up, and Simon will be the last one to cross there. Draw. So anything but an ace for Yep Team. Otherwise, Air White will take this one and move on to match point and be one step closer to taking their Air Brethrens in Kentucky. Charles and BMQS once again up on front. Charles really going for that lean. Oh, Nets does not have a nice landing and ends up bumping the checkpoint. Simon having a little bit of problems with the plastic going into this one, though. Still able to pull that one off. BMQS and Charles up in front, going to be battling this one away. Simon is not too far behind. Nats, unfortunately, is also somewhat far behind, but not too far behind the rest, of the other half. So we got two 1v1s basically happening now, where Charles is going to be trying to hold this lead. BMQS trying to get Nats is trying to catch up as well. A little bit too far behind as the players are going to be able to finish this one. It's another draw no matter what. Charles being in front is exactly what Air White needed. And they are going to take Pool as the map pick that was Yep's. And if I were Yep, I would be a little bit worried because now we are going to be moving to off-road. So if you've been struggling with plastic, can't imagine how you're going to be struggling with the rest of everything else. So 54.5 as well. Yeah. We got some good times going on right now. Unfortunately, I don't have like world record times next to me or anything because I'm just so focused on making sure to see who's bumping, who's not. Got my little wand here, and I'm doing black magic voodoo spells in the background to control the game. If I feel that it's getting a little bit too one-sided, I gotta do a little commentator curse on my end to balance things out a little bit. Off-road now, 5th track. Air White's pick. And Air White on match point. So if you're a Yep fam, this is definitely the time to get a little worried. We'll see if anyone will be able to do anything. Simon, unfortunately, will make a mistake. Nats and BMQS are the ones up in front. Charles, I thought was about to make a bump, but was able to work that one out. Nats and BMQS are going to be fighting this one up. See if anyone goes for the risky line. BMQS will be the one to go for the risky line. And then now it's coming down to if anyone will slide out. Nicely done by all three players. Simon, unfortunately, plus 12. He's going to be completely out of this match. So it's up to BMQS if he's going to be able to keep a draw in this position. Charles ends up bonking the back wheel of his car. So Nats just has to watch his prey as he tries to hunt for him. But BMQS will get away with that one. Wait, Charles made a mistake. Simon is going to be catching up maybe momentarily. Now Charles will be able to finish this one out. And we have ourselves a draw. If Charles actually did not finish that, just for anyone to know, that would have actually been a victory, if I'm correct. No finish timeout. Was there no clock on the right side? We'll have to keep an eye on that. Maybe that's some weird flaw on my screen. I'm not sure. How come the maps are slightly different than EU maps? They are not. They are the same exact maps. The maps only change depending on if it's Grand League and Challenger League. Charles and Nats both make mistakes, I think. Yep. That is not a good look for them. Yeah, they are not different. It's only different if it is Grand League and Challenger League. And then the regionals play on the E version of all the maps, which is the same versions you could play in matchmaking if you are gold or higher. Figured I'd fill in some answers there as we watch our players finish this round up. And Ace going towards Yep, taking the lead 4-1. And this one, again, is the other. This one is Air White's pick. So, kind of feels good if you are a Yep team. You lose your map pick, but then able to turn around and bring it back. Yeah, it might be a HUD thing. I'm not 100% sure. I'll bring up the other timer just to look at it, and after this one, we'll see what's going on. But anywho, Charles and Nats now up in front. BMQS going to be pushing for them. Simon falling a little bit behind the rest of the pack, but still in this race. Anything can happen, especially here. BMQS goes for the risky line again. Anything could happen here. Anyone could slide out. Nats goes very high. Still able to get down and get a lot of that booster to push them through this plastic line. Simon still not too far behind. BMQS is literally squished between Nats and Charles as we go into the identity. And just like that, it's going to be a victory towards Air White.
Victory.
I forgot to pull up the picture-in-picture, folks. Sorry. Continuing on with the fourth round. Yep, team still in the lead by 2. Just pulling off clutch moments when they need to, especially from BMQS. Simon, unfortunately, will fall behind a little bit again. It's not his day today, and I apologize for continuously bringing him up. Just trying to see everyone. But a good start for Charles and Nats. Anyone for the risk line? No. BMQS again goes for the risky line and ends up bumping out. So Charles and Nats will be running away right now. No mistakes from either of the two of them, and they should be completely fine going forward. Nats overtaking Charles. Charles overtaking Nats. That's quite all right, as the two players will hold hand in hand to walk into the finish line. Yeah, there's a timer. I don't know. It's a HUD thing on mine. It's coming up on the other one. Not really sure what's going on. But an ace for Air White. And down by 2, now up by 1. Still not there yet for track point. Simon again now falling a little bit behind. That's leading the pack. BMQS and Charles following just along. One of the most uncomfortable grass parts there, where you tend to actually eat your gear. It's very hard to not eat the gear there. But the two of them up in front again. BMQS goes for the risky line and makes a mistake again. Simon will be the one to chase after them. Nats and Charles just slowly but surely running away with this one. Not too surprised, as off-road tends to be a little bit of the more difficult map. Never mind. Nats makes a huge mistake and eats this tree. Again, I'm not allowed to talk. I'm not allowed to talk. I can't say anything. 7-6 now. Air White, match point, track point, everything. Simon ends up just not even driving forward there for a second. Not sure what's going on. Yeah, the more viewers we have, the more power I have. So promote the poop out of all of it. Get everybody here. I need more power. It's almost to the point where I feel strings coming from my fingers and I can pull away at them. Charles falling a little bit behind. BMQS and Charles going for the risky strat. And now we got a game going on up ahead. Charles takes ahead of BMQS, who's barely... Oh, a back and forth. Nats makes a mistake, but a back and forth between Charles and BMQS. Charles may go for the inside line. I saw it coming. Excuse me. But because of that, ends up bonking. And it's going to be another draw. Yep, team now will be in track point. It'll be 8-7. Air White looking for just a victory on their side. Yep, team can close this off with an ace. So Nats, Charles, they need to stay focused. This is, in fact, an Air White pick. If either one of them could just stay up in front, go for that first or second place, it won't be the end of the world. But if both Air White players make a mistake, this could be detrimental. Simon actually with the pack this time, so we do have a game going. The MQS took a little bit of air and falls a little bit behind. Charles and Nats up ahead. Charles will go for the risky line. The MQS opts not to go for the risky line and allows him to stay in this race. Simon ends up sliding out, unfortunately, there. So the MQS looking for any mistakes out of the two of them. Has to overtake both of them if he wants to try and get another round. The one time he needed to just focus, Charles made a mistake, and just like that, it's an ace as BMQS tried to become a lumberjack and take down that tree. But just like that, GG's, Yep team has been officially eliminated. So, now that they have been eliminated, GG's to Yep team, you're still sitting pretty comfortably, I would say, point-wise. You had 16 as of yesterday, and being eliminated in the position that you are now, which brings you to the top 4. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, top 4. So you get 3 points, third and fourth, so you get 3 more points, which will end them at 19 points. Air Kentucky could actually win this one. I believe, Yep team, I think you were solidified. I'm not 100% sure. Not doing all my math right now, but you may be solidified. You may be okay, but we'll only find out in just a little bit. So, folks, don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Trackmania action after this one. everyone? Welcome back. How we doing? Very excited to be back here as we are now in the Air Duel. Air White versus Air Kentucky. North America versus South America. It's all coming down to this. And what's funny about this is that if Air White does win, there will be the first time in all of NCSA Regional that there will not be an American representing in the grand finals. That's right. We have two, I believe it's two Canadians that are hanging out with Trolla. A new Lingo, and I believe Odaz is also, yes, Odaz is Canadian as well. And then that would be, then we would have, apparently, according to some chat GPT thing, Charles is Uruguayan instead of Colombian. and then we would have Chile being represented from Nats. So looking forward to this match. Finally, my caster biasism is gone because it's all air. I can't be biased in any way. If anything, maybe I'm a little biased towards the American players, but then again, Charles and Nats have been like my coaches. They're the reason why I made day 2 in one competition. So I don't know. Chat, you need to help me out here. Who's gonna win this one? Will it be Air Kentucky? Or will it be Air White? You let me know. We rooting on for the chicken, or we rooting on for the color? Let me know in the chat, because I'm stuck. I'm completely stuck. I can't make a caster prediction because, in my opinion, it can go either way. If this was during the first stage, I would say Air White all the way. But because it's the second stage and both of these players have been playing well, I don't know what to think. But Air White will be in the blue. Air Kentucky will be in the red. And, oh no, I made a mistake. Air Kentucky will be in the blue. Air White in the red. So Off-Road and Frosty is banned. Cosmos can be evil. And honestly, if I was him, I would have picked Speed. That would have been my first pick, but instead we do get Grip picked by Kentucky. I don't know. I'm pretty surprised. I would have picked Speed because knowing it, majority of the air people know everyone's strong suits and weak sides. And that's why I'm generally surprised that it was not picked the way it was. But Vortex is the second pick by Air White. Air Kentucky will pick Airwalk. Really? Mr. Dummy has not spoken to his teammate and told him that he doesn't like that map. But again, Speed still on the table, and I know that is not a map that Air White likes. So Air Kentucky, there it is. Now they pick Speed. They finally did. Maybe they were listening to the cast. And then if it was the other way around, Control is a good pick because I know Dummy tends to push a little bit too hard and can make a lot of mistakes on Control. And then we'll be seeing Breaking as the equalizer match if we do get to a game 7. So Grip, Vortex, Airwalk, Pool, Speed, Control, and Breaking will be the maps we will see as we are going to be getting on into this one. So again, in the chat, let me know who you expect to win this one. I do see a little chicken in the chat, so I like that one. But we won't know. No Sinuous for this one. Yeah, that's correct. No one ever wants to play Sinuous. Well, Sinuous is it's Sinuous. Can't say anything good, can't say anything bad. I'll just say Sinuous is Sinuous. We'll be getting the match underway momentarily. First pick will be Air Kentucky's pick, and that will be Grip. We did see Air White, when they versed Yep, have a little bit of trouble with the identities, some little mistakes here and there. And one of the things I'm going to be watching for is that little jump from the plastic before the dirt line, because Dummy and Nats have both been really pushing that jump to try to land as fast as possible, and a lot of problems can happen. So we'll be getting underway in just a moment. Hey, look, my timer's back, folks. We got a timer. I don't know what happened to it last time, but it's here. It's back. Not sure what happened to my HUD and why that timer disappeared. But we got air logos on both sides. One of them should have been with a chicken behind. The other one should have just been white. Starting this one off now with Charles up in front. Cosmos a little bit farther back. Dummy is the one squished between the two air white players. Going for that low jump, and all four of them are able to pull off some sort of a low jump to be able to get down faster and start building up speed. Cosmos is just able to avoid his car hitting anything. And now moving into the identity. Nicely done by at least three of them as Charles, or excuse me, Nats making a mistake. And Charles almost did not make that one and made a little bit of a bump at the end. But to start it off again, folks, this is how it is here on the NCSA stream for TMWT. Draws to start it off. It started yesterday and it's going to continue today. All four players looking like they hit that checkpoint. Trying to go for that low approach, of course. That's in Charles. Trying to put pressure on Dummy as he is up in front. Cosmos again back on support. Waiting for any mistake to happen. That's will fall a little bit behind as Cosmos is able to push into third place. No bounces from anyone there as well as we reach the identity now. Whoa, Nets unfortunately pushing a little bit too hard and bonks out. But Charles is the one up ahead. And looking to try to keep the lead as Dummy will end up swinging wide. And another draw to finish this one out as Nats unfortunately makes that mistake.
Draw.
Really trying to find any way to squeeze out as much time as possible. And unfortunately, because of that, went a little bit too high. Clipped his wheel in the pole and went flying off. So we'll be hopping on board with Dummy, who's up in front. Let's see if he's able to keep the grip. He does. Will anyone go on the inside line? Nats and Charles will look to try to go for it. Charles goes a little bit high, loses a bit of that speed. Going low here and able to land quickly. Nats went higher for safety. So the exit speed is in the favor of Dummy and Charles. Nats looking to try to block Cosmos out, but Cosmos goes a little bit wide on the engine off. And Nats is able to reclaim his P3 position. Into the identity now. Dummy is the first one up. Charles trying to push as much as he can. So will he able to get an exit speed? No! By 0.094. Wow, 94 thousandths of a second. Charles almost able to get past Dummy. But again, another draw. And now into round 4. Dummy ends up bunking the wall, and no, Nets. The opportunity he had to be able to get up ahead ends up making a mistake. So now Nats and Dummy will be battling it out in the back, while Charles and Cosmos will be battling it up at the front. But Charles is the push player, and Cosmos tends to be more the consistent player. So it'll be, in my opinion, very difficult for Charles to be able to, or excuse me, for Cosmos to be able to fight his way up past Charles. Looking like we are in a draw position. Dummy is going to be trying to catch up. Charles as well, looking to try to get in a nice time here. Cosmos will just play it safe and see if any mistakes will happen. A 53.2. Not bad at all on this map. And all players will be finishing this one up again.
Draw.
There it is. How many more draws can we get going? How far do we think we're going to draw to? Are we going to get another Trolla? Are we going to go all the way to 17 until an ace happens? I hope not. I can't imagine the toll that would put on the players. Nice low exit for everyone. And into the dirt line again. Try to hook your back wheel into the top part of that dirt wall. No bounces here. Dummy still up in front. Charles and Nats both looking to try to get in there. Ooh, Cosmos ends up bumping the sign a little bit. Charles going for a dangerous line, able to overtake his own teammate and look to try to push against Dummy. The Dummy will be able to finish that one. Nats as well. And again, let's hear it one more time.
Draw.
Thank you, commentator. So now, still the first map of the losers bracket final. Trolla still continues to wait. Ooh, Cosmos just got his wheel in there. Trolla's going to have to wait much longer in that grand finals because it seems like we're going to be here all day. It looks like Charles ends up making a little bit of mistake and falling a little bit behind. Cosmos pushing ahead of Nats. Actually looking like there's an ace position, a potential chance to finally break this one, but Nats will deny the ace as he pushes up ahead. Starting off into the identity now. Charles has been able to push. Nats unfortunately makes a mistake, and that could be all she wrote for the draws and draws and draws. Charles is going to at least try to deny the ace and go for a victory, and he is able to get that one and stop the ace from happening. Unfortunately, Nats makes the mistake.
Victory.
So finally, we hear something else besides a draw 5 times in a row. And Air Kentucky now on track points, 7-6. So if they draw this out again, it won't matter. Air Kentucky can walk into a finish, basically stumbling backwards into a draw. That's now the one that falls a little bit behind. Charles, up in front, can look to put us into a draw again. Nats will have to push, at least to try to get a victory to tie things up. Dummy doing a good job avoiding that jump. Ooh, Nats ends up clipping his wheel a tiny bit, but luckily, because of the water, he's able to just slide and keep going into the identity. We go. Getting that ID screen up for you so you can see the whole squad go at the identity. It looks like no one's going to be making real mistakes. And here we go, folks. Back at it. Let's listen one more time.
Draw.
Thank you very much. Air Kentucky slowly but surely walking this one in. One round at a time. And they could take the first map, which is their map pick. All 4 players seem to be into this one. Ooh, as I said that, right as I said a word, Charles ends up snagging the back of his wheel on a corner. So now it's up to Nats to go for a push. Cosmos up in front. The 2 players who tend to play more of the consistent role are now the ones battling it out. And Dummy is not too far behind to put some pressure onto Nats as well. Coming around the identity. Nats still doing a good job. Dummy is going to be the one to try to see if he can capitalize anything. No. But again, another draw comes into play. And this is something that is not looking good for Air White. They are also in track point position, but they cannot afford doing anything less than a victory for themselves. So at least tie this one up. We have everyone in the fight here. Charles ends up slipping a little bit and falling a little bit behind. So now it's up to Nats to at least try to go for a draw and walk away with more of an ego boost than anything, because unless Cosmos makes a big mistake and Charles can fight his way back into this fight, it's going to be Air Kentucky's, as I say that, Nats makes a mistake. So these guys just need to finish it out. Not too much pressure going on, as Dummy and Cosmos can look over and see they still have at least over a second to finish this one out. But if they make a mistake, which they will not, nice lead on by Air Kentucky to win the first match 12-8, and the first time we hear an ace. I don't know about you folks, but this might be what we are looking at for the rest of this series. And if this goes to a best of 7, we're going to be here for quite some time. Vortex, the next map. Haven't really seen much of Vortex on the stream since yesterday. I believe we only saw Vortex once on stream. And if I remember correctly, Air Kentucky was the one on the stream that did play it, and this is where Dummy had internet issues, so hopefully Dummy's internet is doing well. Off the little spinny roulette thing. All 4 players off to a good start. Air White up in front. As a reminder, this is Air White's pick. So Nats and Charles may be feeling pretty good on this map. Dummy and Cosmos playing from behind. Ooh. Nats makes a little bit of a mistake. Dummy is now pushing on the grass. Cosmos does not hit the wall. I thought that line was going to be bad. Charles goes really high, which allows him to line up nicely here and go forward without really sliding around too much, but he has to be careful because you still have those icy wheels and can lose a little bit of your grip. Nats still not too far behind the group. Charles makes a mistake, falls a little bit behind, but still can fight this one out. It all comes down to the identity out of the 4 players of whether or not they're going to be able to do this without falling over. Will any of them tilt over? No, none of them will. Charles ends up clipping his wheel, though. Cosmos and Dummy. Cosmos makes a mistake up in top. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to finish this one. He does, as Charles made too much of a mistake. So a victory goes to Air Kentucky. No draws here. Drawer, however the heck you want to say it, folks. I think this is, if I remember correctly, this is the second or third map that has been on the NCSA program where it did not start off with a draw. Not sure, not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. Cosmos made a mistake in allowing Nats to push up into that 3rd place position and allow Air White to potentially come back and tie things up early in this map too. Oh, Dummy ends up slowing down a lot. Nats is starting to push on this one. We may actually look at potentially getting an ace here. Cosmos isn't too far back. So if any mistakes happen, he can, in fact, capitalize on it. As we come into the identity now. Oh, Nats has a little bit more speed. If he can play this one right, Dummy will not be able to pass him. No! Dummy will still get in there by 7 thousandths of a second. Are you kidding me? Mistakes almost happening. Everyone pushing the line like crazy. And Dummy was able to deny the ace, but we are again tied up. Great round out of the 2 of them. Charles, of course, is making some good time up ahead. And another round we go. 3s across the board. 3rd round, 3-3. Air White tend to have a really good start on this one. Nats does fall behind, and Dummy will overtake. Ooh, Nats ends up actually falling a lot farther behind than I thought he would. Charles still comfortably up in the lead. Be careful with these icy wheels not to slide out. Line yourself up right on this pole, and a nice job by all 4 players. Charles 0.5 ahead of the rest of the crew, but Dummy seems to be closing up the gap a tiny bit. As we go into the identity now, as the players will be rocking back and forth on the pipe, not make any mistakes. Never mind. Cosmos will fall a little bit behind as Nats is going to be able to get up there, and in a victory for Air Kentucky.
Victory.
Oh, excuse me, Air White. Oh my goodness. I'm complaining how bad it is with the whole air things, the 2 air teams. I still feel bad from back in stage 1 when we had Air Red on the blue team and we had Air Blue on the red team. So, yeah, that was a thing. Don't know if anyone remembers that one. Dummy and Charles, the 2 pushers on their team. Up in front again. Nats Let's go for a higher line here. Gets a little bit more speed down that ramp. But ends up sliding a little bit harder on the grass, so it doesn't work out. Dummy makes a mistake. I think he clipped the wall up ahead, so now it's Cosmos just chasing after Charles, who's so much farther up ahead. Whoa, Dummy almost falling there, Nats. Trying to get Cosmos and get into that second place. Go for an ace. Really extend the lead. So at this point, you definitely want to. And we go into the wiggly parts, and it looks like everyone... No, Cosmos makes the mistake. He had the moment to deny the ace, but instead messes up right at that last second. And Cosmos, unfortunately, falls way behind and gives the ace to Air White. On their own map pick now, track point, Air White looking to close this one up and tie the series 1-1. Of course you remember, Camper. You were one of them. Everyone making it past that ramp. It was a little scary on that ramp. Any mistake off the wheel at the beginning or that ramp, and you're pretty much completely out of the match. It's very rare to see anyone come back. Oh, speaking of out of the match. Oh, speaking of out of the match. All right, folks, I get it. There's other parts of the map that can make mistakes to get you out of the match. Nats ended up clipping his wheel a little bit. Cosmos ends up sliding around a little bit, and Dummy ends up smacking the wall. And Charles, again, is just driving up ahead, clueless to what's happening behind him. So Cosmos is now the only person in position to try and deny an ace. Again, we saw what happened last time when he tried to do that. This it looks like the identity cam is not going to work too well since Dummy's way too far behind. But Nats ends up making a mistake. Cosmos is going to walk that one in. Nats is now also going to walk this one in, and Dummy is the last one to walk in. Really, I shouldn't even say limping. I shouldn't say walking, I should say limping. He's limping really hard into that one. But GG. Second map goes to Air White on their own map pick and tie the series up 1-1. At this point, I really cannot expect... I can't say who I expect to win this one. Just because of how much back and forth is happening. And now we're going into Airwalk. I know Dummy doesn't tend to like this map that much. Cosmo seems to be alright with it. And I thought Nats and Charles were fine with this map, but after we saw the match against the Up team, it's kind of scary, folks. I don't know what to expect out of these guys. So it's one of those things we just have to wait and see how everyone is feeling on this map. Charles and Nats have a little bit more of a warm-up on this map due to the insanity that was against the Up team. Dummy and Charles up front. Charles goes for the wider line. Dummy ends up bumping up a little bit. Cosmos is going to be completely out. I believe he was not able to make the first jump. So Nats now at this point, if he can, try to push ahead. Oh, but he makes a mistake. Charles and Dummy. Dummy's going to have to push as hard as he can. Go for the really low line on the springs. And force the draw. Because we have a victory potential. Oh, Dummy goes high. So, yeah, Charles will be able to walk that one in. Nats just needs to finish this one, and he does. Cosmos will be completely out of this round. And a victory to start this one off for Air White.
Victory.
Air White showing that they do, it seems like they can bounce back from a rough time against the Up team and now really put some pressure onto Air Kentucky. Air Kentucky now seeing that both of them were able to first shot that. You got to be careful because can't make any mistakes. This map, route-wise, is probably not the hardest route. So it really comes down to just pulling off and squeezing out as much time as you can from the route. and then go for the insanely tight line on the identity and try to go as low as possible. Charles will be the one up front. Dummy to follow. Nats may potentially go for a push or something. We don't 100% know, as we can see them all bouncing up in the air, lining up for the finish line. Oh, Nets bounces off the top.
Victory.
And I thought he did not make it in, but he did. That was a little scary, but a victory for Air White. Now in a good position. 2 points ahead. Can go for the draws and the victories. Can afford at least 2 victories that don't go their way to try and keep at least a little bit more of a gap between them. Cosmos ends up going a little bit wide and bumping out, so he'll be out of this round. But with this identity, anything can happen. Dummies goes for the real inside line. Charles is a little bit wider, as we see as they go. Charles will go on the inside here. Pretty scary, as you can tilt off. And Charles will be up in front now as we approach the identity. Smart to go to the right side of that spring and not have to worry about anything happening with the wall as they go off the jump up into spring. Charles goes for the lower line. Nats might actually miss. He does. Not allow Cosmos to run that one in. And it will be a draw, but Air White still in the lead by 2 points. 56.1 by Charles, not bad. Can definitely push a little bit harder, and I wouldn't be surprised if Dummy looked over and saw that and say, oh, let me PB with that. Oh, I could beat that. Very good start for Nats, going very low there. Dummy and Charles, or excuse me, Dummy and Cosmos. Sorry, the C's catch me all a little weird. They do have to fight their way back up front now. They did get a slower start in the plastic. Dummy is looking for any opening he can get into the no-break section. One has to be a little bit careful not to fall off. Everyone pulls that one off nicely. Into the first springs of the pre-identity. And now, try not to eat that gear. This is going to be a very tight one as we go into the identity here. Oh, Dummy goes a little low. Oh, no, he makes it. But Charles is the first one to actually make the mistake. Wait, Dummy missed. Dummy missed. Charles missed again. And Dummy makes it in this time. Another draw. 6-4 now.
Draw.
Man, pressure's kicking in, huh? Seems like everything is fine, and then a mistake happens right at the end. It's the hardest part about this map. It's so deceiving. It's not that hard of a map to drive until you get to the finish line. I think we're missing someone here. Yeah, Dummy seemed to have fallen a little bit behind the pack, but not too far. Cosmos goes for the wide line. Dummy will join him. Ooh, clipping the wheel. So Dummy will have to take over into that third place. Charles and Nats doing a good job holding up the front end. They'll look to try to ace this one up, get themselves 9 points, and really set themselves up nicely. Cosmos now has to take over for Dummy and really go for the push. Nats and Charles so far up ahead, but Nats makes a mistake. This allows Cosmos to come up and maybe go for a fight here as we go into the identity. Oh, Cosmos goes for the really low line. Dummy goes for the really low line. Gets past them. Oh, Nats gets sniped by both of them. Makes the mistake off the first little pre-identity with the springs. And because of that, Air Kentucky able to draw that one. But we have track point now for Air White. Oh, Charles ends up clipping the jump. So he's going to be pretty much out of this fight. It's up to Nats to get another draw to happen. Good landing by all three up ahead. Cosmos will have to release a little bit. Charles still playing pretty far behind. Nats doing a good job building up some lead against Dummy, but Dummy not afraid to go for those inside lines. Try to cut down some time. Starts to gain about 1/100 of a second to Nats. Ooh, Nats had to opt for an awkward drift. It wasn't a good, clean one for him, so he ends up falling behind. So what could have been a draw is now leading into a potential ace for Air Kentucky if both players don't make a mistake as they go off the bounce. And they both get in there. Charles ends up sniping his own teammate. And an ace comes out of nowhere. And now, this is not looking good. Air White had a lead the entire time and could have just slowly walked their way into the finish. Oh no, Nats. After making a mistake, 2 mistakes in 2 different rounds, makes a huge mistake at the beginning. Pressure could be getting to his head is now Charles. He's the only one to defend. He has to go for the draw. Charles has to get first place. Nats is pretty much out of the question. So we'll stay on board with Charles. Ooh, Dummy! Dummy makes a mistake. Cosmos is now going to be the one that has to try to go up in front of Charles. If he can intercept him and set up a victory, then we'll be able to take this one, which in fact is Air Kentucky's pick. Charles may be able to give another breather. It all comes down to this one. We've seen Charles make mistakes. We've seen Dummy and Cosmos do pretty well in this one. They both go for that really low line. It looks like Charles did get not know what happened. He looked fine, but I guess he ended up going a little bit wide. And just like that, what could have been a draw turns into an ace for Air Kentucky, and Air Kentucky will take the 2-1 lead now. 11-7 to finish off Airwalk. Oof. You hate to see it, folks. You hate to see it. North America now in the lead against South America. 2-1, but we are in pool. We are now in Air White's pick. And as I've said yesterday, I know this is one of Dummy's weaker maps. So we may start seeing Cosmos really do a lot of more shining. Not really sure how much work Dummy has put into this map, but I do know he tends to try and ban this map when it's in the best of 5s. So we'll see how things will start off. Let's actually hop on board with Dummy. Good start for Air White up ahead. Dummy will go for the really low line. Almost clipping, but still works it out for him. He ended up going a little bit high, but because of the low speed, he doesn't have to worry about his car tilting too hard. Charles Anatsa with a good lead. I don't know how Cosmos didn't clip his wheel there. Nats goes low, Charles goes high, Cosmos goes high, and Dummy also goes high. So Nats unfortunately makes a huge mistake. Cosmos makes a mistake. So now it's up to Charles and Dummy again. Yeah, Cosmos is out of that one. So we'll see if Charles is going to be able to hold this lead continuing into the identity. Charles tends to go for a little bit more of a wider line, and it works out for Dummy as well. He will finish that one. Nats will be the next one to follow into the finish here. And Cosmos will be out of the picture, unfortunately, with an early mistake that was pretty hard to recover from.
Victory.
And that allowed a victory for Air White. Again, a good start for Air White to be able to get a victory under their belt, but then to just one little mistake here and there from one of the players can just throw off the dynamic, it seems, for Air White. Dummy ends up making a huge mistake. I think he ended up clipping the black wall, black pillar, or the barrier, whatever you want to call it. Not 100% sure. Nats lost grip and starts flying around, so that's going to allow Dummy to now take third place. Nats is going to be really far behind. Charles is really going to be pushing this one. As you see them sliding around due to the wet wheels. Dummy not too far behind. But with Charles in the lead right now, it could potentially be another draw into the pool itself. Trying to get... Oh, he makes a mistake, so Dummy is the last one. But it won't work out either way. Nats actually ahead of Cosmos now, who seems to make just a huge enough mistake and fall way behind. So another victory for Air White. What should have been a draw turns into an Air victory, and now Air White is up by 2. So a good start now for everybody in this third round of pool. Oh, Charles almost losing grip there. Still holding the lead. Dummy to follow. Seems to be the pattern of Charles Dummy Nats. Cosmos. Cosmos slides a little bit longer. No, he was never able to snap his wheels back. So he had to just continue sliding around there. So now Dummy is the only one there who's going to try to stop the ace. Goes for the really low grass line, and it really helps him out get up in front of Nats. It's going to work out nicely for him as they go into the identity now. Nats really just trying to push on Dummy. Really try to get that inside line. Charles will finish that one. I thought he clipped his wheel, but another victory for Air White.
Victory.
And slowly but surely starting to extend their lead. 6-3. Air Kentucky. It's not their map pick, so it's somewhat understandable if they struggle a little bit on it. But they can pull off some good times. They really put their mind to it. It's Charles and Nats now up in front, looking to try to get an ace. This is definitely what they need to get a better security going into potentially the last round. Nats again making just a silly little mistake, clipping something random on the track and falls behind, but not too far behind that we can't see anything from the rest of the crew. Let's see what we can see from above in the water. And that's going to be a draw. 7-4. Air White is now going to be track point and look to tie up the series once again. We're just looking for a round where both teams could just have a clear shot at the finish. No mistakes, no bumps or bruises. Love to see a round where it's all about the pace of the players. But these maps are pretty difficult. It's not always easy to get a good one-shot time. Cosmos again sliding out too much. Nat's also not the best line, so he's going to get bumped out of there. Charles is up ahead. Cosmos will take third place. Dummy. Oh, Charles ends up lifting up a little bit in the water. He's going to go for the inside line. It's going to be a little bit tighter than he was hoping it to be. Dummy is able to get more exit speed. And finally a victory in the hands of Air Kentucky. Closing that gap up just a little bit. 6-8 now. 2-point deficit. Air White now in a victory line. And again, Air White has been able to get victories multiple times on this map. So they'll look to try to finish this one out. Dummy starting a little bit late or something. I'm not 100% sure what happened, but Dummy will start a little bit behind. Not so far out that he's out of the competition. Nicely done. It seems that the mistakes are starting to get pushed farther and farther back in the map. As I say that, Nat, sense of play. Ha! I have the power! Commentator curses left and right, man. Charles is now going to be up in front. Cosmos. Oh, Charles makes a mistake. And an ace potential here as Charles is going to have to push his way through two players. I'm really going to risk this one now, knowing that Dummy and Cosmos is right behind him. Or right ahead of him, excuse me. Dummy makes a mistake, though. Charles is going for that inside line, but he took a little bit of air. Oh, but 0.02 of a second difference. Charles almost denies it. So now we're in a bit of a stickler position. Air White had a huge lead going into this map. Now it's a 1-point difference. Air White looking for a draw or victory in their way, and everything will be fine. If Air Kentucky can get an air victory going in their direction or an ace, they will take this one. Otherwise, we'll be tied up and go into overtime on map 4. Charles with a huge lead this time. Nats as well. up ahead. This is exactly what we need to see if you're an Air White fan. Dummy's trying to get a push in there, but he's struggling to find an opening. Into the identity we go. Again, Dummy just trying to find that inside line. Cosmos is going to be the one to try to make the push. But it needs to be better than a draw. It's not going to happen. Charles will be able to finish that one, get in front, and we're going to be tied up 2-2 in the series. Excuse me, folks, as solo casting can get a little bit rough. I do have to have my moments of quietness. So I apologize for the white noise and the little silent moments. But now, we are on the map that I had a feeling that it surprised me that it was so far down the list. We're on track 5, picked by Air Kentucky, and it is Speed. This is one of the maps we rarely ever see in NCSA regionals. And here we are. Probably Air White's one of their weaker maps, as well as Frosty. And now, in this very interesting map, Charles is actually up in front. Dummy. So you're going to follow. Cosmos ends up making a huge mistake. So Dummy now able to get up ahead of Charles, as that dirt line can get a little rough. For the outside line, a hop and skip and jump here onto the sausage. And then into the slaloms, left, right, as you can go through as quick as possible without clipping your wheels. And into the identity we go. How much are you willing to push here? Ooh, Dummy was willing to push a little bit too much, it looks like. And because of that, it's going to be potentially... Where did Charles go? There he is. It's going to be an ace. Man, that was a little scary for Air White. But Air Kentucky's pick. And Air White is the first one to ace on this map. Loops, and out we go into the NASCAR part. Cosmos is the one to fall behind first. No brakes here. You have to be careful not to push too hard. As I say that, Dummy ends up bonking the walls. So now Charles and Nats up ahead. Cosmos closing in the gap. Dummy unfortunately falls too far behind. Hop, a skip, and a jump. And the sausage part up to the slaloms. That's starting to fall a little bit behind. Cosmos trying to close in into the identity. So far looking good for two of them. Charles ends up bumping. Cosmos is now going for the push. Overall speed, but unfortunately the track isn't long enough for him to get ahead and be able to finish that one. So that is going to be, excuse me, a victory for Air White, putting them in a 5-1 lead. Excuse me, as I do apologize. 2 days of casting and a music gig this morning has been a toll on my voice. But don't worry, I'll get it back. That's Dummy and Cosmos all ends up making a mistake, but Dummy and Cosmos' mistake is a lot worse than we would say the other one is. So Nats just needs to recover for this one. Dummy and Cosmos are going to try to see if they can catch up. That's taking his time as they approach the identity now. Charles is the first one in. Nats will be the second one to follow. Oh, but he makes a mistake. This allows Dummy to maybe make a push. Cosmos has overall speed. Nats probably should have reset. And because of that mistake, he's going to be able to walk that one in. But still another victory. Dummy just seems to be struggling through that and not able to finish that one. Track point for Air White. Looking for an ace this time. Dummy up in front now. Great start for him. Unfortunately, Cosmos makes a mistake early on. And Charles seems to also make a big mistake. So now it's going to be down between Dummy and Nats. Try to keep that fourth gear to get over this plastic. Dummy doing a good job with the sausage part. Doesn't seem to bounce too far out of the way. Cosmos and Charles look like they're going to be battling it out in the back. Charles is actually catching up, so we're going to be going into the identity now. Dummy makes a mistake. Nats also makes a mistake. Will Cosmos go for the push? Cosmos may actually able to beat. No, and Charles also had an insane speed over time, and that's going to be a victory for Air White again. 9-3. Anything but an ace, and Air Kentucky will actually lose their map pick, and Cosmos right off the bat made a mistake, so it's all down to Dummy now. This is not what I expected to happen, to be honest. I knew this is not one of Air White's favorite maps, and to see this come down to where Air White is actually looking to run away with this one is kind of blowing my mind. So Dummy now is the only one. He has to go for the push. He has to be the one to get up ahead. But so does Cosmos. Because again, anything but an ace. And it is looking pretty good for Air White. Nats did fall pretty far behind. Cosmos, maybe. Maybe if Dummy gets through it clearly. Does. Charles gets up ahead. And that is it. Charles was able to get up in front and get the draw. And that's going to be it for this one. Air White now takes the lead in the series and beats Air Kentucky on their pick 4-10. So now we're going to be moving on to Control, which is the penultimate map. We're on map 6 now. And again, this is not what I expected to happen. I thought we were going to go all the way to when I saw speed, I thought we were going to go to breaking. But there's still a chance. Don't get me wrong. Air White on match point. It's going to really come down to how the rest of them are able to pull this one off. And Control, definitely a tricky map for sure. Excuse me. Air White up ahead. Dummy almost clipping that corner. Had to hit the brake and fall a little bit behind. Really control your speed going up here, not to overshoot the landing or undershoot and continuously bounce and lose speed. Air White holding hands up front. Dummy looking to try to get in the middle of the two of them. Break things up as we go into the ice jump. Pre-identity, Cosmos goes a little low, but it looks like it's going to work out for him. Nats is the one wiggling around. Dummy's trying to catch up, but he does not seem to be able to catch up completely. And as we go approach the identity, up into the air we go. Charles gets through, Nats gets through, and then Dummy will finish that one.
Victory.
So, good start for Air White. Probably could have capitalized on an ace, but unfortunately did not. Not the end of the world, though. I looked away for 2 seconds to cough one out, and I already see 2 players falling behind, and that is Nats and Cosmos. Nats gets a good landing, though, and is now going to really be pushing and approaching Cosmos. Well, Dummy is trying to catch up to Charles. Charles has a really good lead. Heading towards the ice wall now. Charles lands a little early. Oh, Dummy ends up hitting the sign on top. So Cosmos will be the one to start battling his way up. But he's got Nats right behind him, and it's going to get really difficult. Up into the ice wall for Charles, and he looks like he makes it clearly. And Cosmos, oh, gets sniped by Nats at the end there. And an ace for Air White, slowly but surely looking to finally approach the grand finals. Air Kentucky really do need to win this one, because if they don't, and Trolla, if Trolla wins the tournament, it's going to come down to matchmaking to break up the tiebreaker for that 4th place slot in the wild card. And if matchmaking is tied, because Trolla beat Air Kentucky, and if they get eliminated here, they would lose the head-to-head tiebreaker if matchmaking is also tied. So Air Kentucky needs to win this one, at least show face against Trolla to have just a little bit more points, to not have to worry about anything. But here we go into the identity. Off the ice wall, Dummy, and it comes off a little bit early. Down low, and that's going to be it. Charles is going to be all the way in the back, unfortunately. And so a good response from the Air Kentucky boys. Get themselves up 5-4. 1 point deficit. But Air White, still, they show promise what they can do and just get this one out. Off to a good start for everyone. Dummy is actually on the inside. I don't know how he did not clip that scenery piece. Oh, but he is sliding around like crazy. Somehow still in this race. Dummy just goes weird lines and it works for him. I don't understand, but it's working for him. Cosmos, unfortunately, though, is the one falling behind. That's a Charles. Starting to push for that ace position. Dummy is really trying to get in the way. Off into the ice wall. It looks like everyone with a... Oh, what is going on? Ain't no way. Everyone made a mistake there after I was just complimenting everyone. Not a clue what happened, but Charles is going to be the first one up on the wall. Nats tries to get in. Oh, bad camera angle, unfortunately, trying to see from the outside. But Dummy was still able to get into second place. Victory. And now, match point for Air White. An ace is all they need, and they can walk away with that one. They would like to just close this one out. I know, it's my curse. I'm sorry, guys. I'm a curse caster. You don't want me to cheer on for you or anything. Air White now looking really good. Dummy has to get up front. Really needs to go for the draw. Otherwise, it is bye-bye. Even if they, they could allow a victory to happen, a mistake. Again, a lot of wiggling happening going on. Charles ends up clipping, so it's up to Nats. A draw can still be potentially a thing. Maybe Cosmos, maybe Dummy can beat Nats up there. When it comes to the final jump, Nats is up ahead. Neither of them will be able to catch up, but luck is on Air Kentucky's side. My curse didn't work on them this time, as they were able to get a draw and have another round of hope. But still not in track point. Even an ace will not save Air Kentucky's life. But an ace will, in fact, help them out a lot. Charles making another mistake. Cosmos is low on gear. So it's between Dummy and Nats now. Good lines out of Dummy as he takes off from Nats, who just did not have the best line. And again, an ace will put Air Kentucky in a much better position and even a potential chance of moving towards the map 7, which would be breaking if we make it to match 7, map 7, excuse me. So not too much of a problem there. Nat still needs to push. Dummy going to be the first one to approach. Dummy goes middle. Everyone else goes middle. No one risks. And that's going to be an ace. 9-8. Air Kentucky is going to be on track point and potentially bringing us to a map 7, which will be breaking. Air White looking to try to just close this one out. They need at least now an ace to close this one out. A victory for Air White will get us to tie and go for overtime. So no silly mistakes at the beginning. Everyone has to play clean all the way to the identity. Excuse me. Cosmos goes for a little bit of a wider drift. All right, still in the race. A little scary line, but they still make it work out. Ooh, Charles goes a little bit high, so he's going to fall a little bit behind. Nats is still in a good position to push. Charles cannot fall past third place, with Nats needing to stay up front. A draw is not even an option for Air White anymore. Into the ice. A good ice wall for everyone. Cosmo starting to push. Dummy makes a mistake. So now, Air White is back in an ace position. Cosmos 0.2 behind Charles. Needs to get past him at least to get a draw. Cosmos goes for the really low line, but it doesn't work out. And an ace happens. Air Kentucky. Oh my goodness, excuse me. Air Kentucky is now eliminated. So Air Kentucky now will have to be waiting on the sideline to see how Trolla do. If Air White wins this one, Air Kentucky could be somewhat safe. But if Trolla does win, we are looking at a lot of tiebreakers that could happen, and it can get very rough up ahead. So don't go too far, folks. We'll be back in just a little bit to check out the grand finals, which will be Trolla versus Air White. So we'll see you in just a bit. All right, folks. The moment you've all been waiting for. The grand finals of the last NCSA regional of TMWT. This is it, folks. Trolla will be taking on Air White, as we saw on the stream. And the exciting part about this is that if Trolla wins this, we're going to have tiebreaker after tiebreakers going on point-wise for between Trolla and Air Kentucky. Again, Air White has solidified their position, but they probably would like to at least Air White would like to finally win a regional, I would say. They have been so close. They've just constantly getting 3-4, 3-4, top 3-4, and they are finally here in the grand finals, and they are looking to close this one out. No Damascus Gaming in their way to knock them out and ruin anything. They're just ready to finally close this one out. So we're just currently waiting on Nats to join, and then once they do, we'll have the pick and bans going. And I'm actually looking forward to these pick and bans because I have no idea what either team is going to be picking. Because in reality, if you're Lingo, you probably could play every single map, no doubt. If you're Odaz, give him some probably some good tech. I think Odaz, if I remember correctly, is a good tech player. Charles and Nats, though, they definitely have their favorites and their non-favorites. So, I don't know. I do see a lot of chat right now. Looking at the predictions, 73% of you are saying Trolla is going to win this one. 27% of you right now are saying Air White will win. I will admit, I am part of that 27%. I may have thrown some of my channel points in there. So, come on, Air White. Back to my bias casting. I am an Air White believer. I am from Air White, so not surprised at all. But here we go. We are going to be looking at the pick and bans going on. So, it will be Trolla in the blue. And again, Odaz playing with the Buckley name. So don't get confused with that. That is Odaz. That is not Buckley. Banning Frosty and Off-Road. The first pick will be Pool. Okay, so that's a good map as well for Air White. Don't be too bad for them. No, real Buckley, trust. Okay, sure. Yeah. Yeah. So if I was Air White, I don't know. I would be struggling on what to pick as well. Maybe something that can throw off Buckley. And it's going to be Grip. And now we see Sinuous, followed by Vortex. Okay, so we got some... we finally have Sinuous on the screen for all you Sinuous lovers. And then it's going to be Control, Braking, and then Airwalk. Okay, let me write my notes down. Okay, cool. So Pool, Grip, Sinuous, Vortex, Control, Braking, and Airwalk as the decider. So let's get into the gameplay. Let's get that up on your screen. And we are going to be getting things underway in just a moment. Pool picked by Trolla is the first map. Definitely a good map. I wish I actually went ahead and wrote some of the PBs, but unfortunately didn't have enough time. Had a little bit of a problem happening back in my apartment. It's supposed to be like 90 degrees Fahrenheit for all you Americans out there, North Americans. And we had to put a new AC in, and the thing almost broke. I almost sent it out the window. So, yeah, that was a fun experience today. I see someone in the chat with the Sinuous Poggers. Yep, you finally got your Sinuous. So, starting off in Pool. Hey, don't make fun of my Fahrenheits. I'm American. I'm allowed to use my own thing. But we're going to be starting off in Pool. Picked by Trolla. And as a reminder for anyone that did not know, this is the first NCSA regional in the grand final that does not have an American representing. Oops, sorry. There we go. Back on Odaz, the actual name. Thank God for Scripps for doing its job. And yeah, as expected, Lingo up in front. Lingo probably one of the most insane Trackmania players I've ever seen. He is going to be putting a really hard fight, and Odaz is going to be there to complement him. Nats will be the first one to be actually pushing up ahead. Charles falling a little bit behind. Lingo doing a really good job using the dip of that grass to build up some speed. Ooh, both Air White players getting closer, but if either of them make a mistake, Odaz is there to capitalize on him. And what happened? And we got ourselves a draw, folks.
Draw.
Surprise, surprise. Thank you for the calculations for Celsius. Now, it's really going to come down to patience when you verse a team like Trolla. You know you're versing an insanely good player that is Lingo. So you're going to have to play for his mistakes if you cannot outpace him. And as you can see, Lingo way up ahead. Charles just trying to catch up in any way Nats will to follow. Charles really going for that inside line. Cut off anything he can. Going low here and starting to catch up. 0.1 behind Lingo as they go into the ID, but Charles goes a little bit wide. He's able to work this one out. Oh, no, but slides out. So it's going to really come down to if Charles can recover. But Odaz is there. And that's going to be a victory for Trolla.
Victory.
3-2 now. Trolla looking pretty good on their first map pick. Oh, Charles makes a big mistake at the beginning. So Odaz will actually be the one up front. Lingo will slowly start to approach his teammate. Nats the only one in contention to battle this one out as he tries to catch up to them. Oh, but bumps the wheel. Actually kind of works out a little bit for him. But still falling behind. Couldn't gain the speed he was looking for. And Trolla now in a good ace position. A pretty secured one, if I were to say so myself. No mistakes out of the two of them. Nats will take some air. And that could be all she wrote for this round, as Trolla is going to be looking to get their first ace on the board. 6-2 now. A rough start for Air White. Don't forget, though, folks, Air White has played 3 matches in a row today. They've all been pretty tough matches. This is Trolla's first match of the day. So you can either look at this 2 ways. Trolla may be coming in a little bit cold, because you can always warm up, but there's like warming up your hands and getting ready to play the tracks, and then competitive warmed up. And then you can think of how Air White's coming into this completely warmed up, but could be mentally tired. So it's a little catch-22. Lingo actually bumping the wall there. Ooh, Odaz has the best exit speed. He goes flying past the competition as Nats actually bumps the wall. So now Charles is going to have to fight his way back up front, but he has Lingo literally just coming flying up. It's like he's got like a little turbo button on his controller. Charles still up in front. Lingo goes for a better line, but takes a little bit of air. So it's going to be a draw. Ooh, wicked. 7-3, though. Track point for Trolla. As they have... they've already scored an ace once. So would not be surprised if Trolla can pull off an ace again. Will Air White be able to respond to really tough opponents? Charles barely hanging on there. And still in the middle of the fight. That's 0.2 behind the gang. Charles starting to gain some lead, but we have seen Odaz and Lingo have an insanely good line here. Oh, Charles messes up and bounces. And as I said before, the ace is potentially a thing. Trolla can look to walk away from this first map. And this is also not the first time that Trolla and Air White have seen each other. They did see each other in the winter semis. And Trolla did win 4-1. So that is an ace, 10-3 to start things off. And next map will be Grip. This is it's going to be looking pretty rough, just because of the fact that, like I said, these two have seen each other before. And I'm just double checking. Yes, it was a 4-1 during the semifinals. And Trolla was playing out of their mind. They actually were the ones to bring... Trolla sent Damascus Gaming down into the losers bracket right at the beginning, right in the winners quarterfinals. The first match of the day, and they sent them down. It's not every day you see that. So Trolla is a very fierce competition to go up against. And Air White will do their best to bring them down if they can. The only team to actually put any work on Trolla is actually both Air players. Air White and Air Kentucky are the only two that were able to get at least one game off of them. Otherwise, Trolla, so far, all tournament long, has only dropped 2 maps. Charles is going to be up in the front now, doing a really good job. Odaz and Lingo to follow. Lingo is looking to try to hunt down Charles in this identity. Charles doing a really good job. Odaz trying to keep up with Charles, but he's pretty much barely in his eyesight. He's going to get in there, but now it's going to really come down to whether or not Lingo makes a mistake, which he didn't, and Nats will be following that one in. So
Draw.
we're going to be starting this one off with a draw again. Odaz carrying Lingo. Surprise, surprise, right? Yeah, of course. Oh, Nats flipping his wheel, but so did Lingo, actually. So it's not the worst thing, but then unfortunately hits the wall, so falls pretty far behind. So Charles and Odaz will be the ones battling it up in front, and Lingo is not too far behind to fight his way in there. Into the pool they go. And again, Lingo not too far from the competition as they are going to go into this identity now. Charles doing a really good job staying in front. Oh, goes a little bit high, but not end all be all. Charles will still be up front. Never mind, he made a mistake. And oh my goodness, Trolla gets an ace. That's a rough one, unfortunate to happen, but the E stands for easy. Saw that question in the chat. Lingo now is going to be up in front. Odaz in the back. Charles with a really nice low line. He's going to try to knock Nats into last place. They're going to be pushing again into this pool. Oh, Odaz making a mistake, and he's going to be out of this one. So Nats is going to be up there as we go into the identity. Lingo is going to be the one up in front. Charles is trying to get ahead. He kind of does, but goes a little bit wide again, trying to hold that grip as he's about to slip off. Had to go a little bit wide just to make sure not to fall off. And Charles, okay. Hits a little bit of a corner and scaring us there. That was a little scary. Up into the ramp. Did Lingo actually get it? I guess he did. Wow. Lingo went really low there. Nats ends up falling a little bit behind, but he does tend to have a good plastic line here. And as you can see, he starts to gain him back up closer. Opts to not go too low, but still farther back from the group, but not too bad. Odaz and Lingo, we're going to put a lot of pressure onto Charles as we're going to be pushing into the identity once again. Coming around the identity in the first bend. Charles still doing a good job up in front. Doesn't clip this time, and that's going to be good for Charles to be able to get a draw, but still, even with a draw, is not in a position they want to be. Trolla is still up by 3. Lingo actually goes a little bit higher that time. It's crazy how much he can push that checkpoint. Now they're up in front, and Charles again is the only one to fight for this one. Charles really pushing this dirt line, approaching both of them. Able to get up in front in first place, but barely. Oh, but Charles bounces! And now it's up to Nats to fight his way up in there. Still not the worst thing in the world as they're going to be coming around into the identity. And that's going to be it. Yes, the two of them are able to get over there, and that's going to be another ace. Track point for Trolla.
Ace.
And they are looking to try and close this one out completely. Air White fans are probably not looking too good right now. Nats and Charles both needing to get a really clean run going. Every time they seem to have a chance, one of them just makes a little bit of a mistake. And again, as I say that, Nats makes another mistake. Pressure is starting to get to their heads probably. Lingo and Odaz. Oh, Lingo makes a mistake. This is going to allow Nats to actually get back into the fight now. As Lingo did not hit the checkpoint, so he falls pretty far behind. So now Odaz also sliding out a little bit. This could be Nats' opportunity to really try to push, but it only works if the two of them, if neither makes a mistake as we go into the identity. Odaz, no mistakes. Charles still up ahead. And Odaz will be able to finish that one. And that will be the second map going to Trolla.
Victory.
10-5. So, Air White, unfortunately, losing their own map pick, their first one. And we're going to be moving to Sinuous next. I know some people in the chat have been a little excited to finally see Sinuous, so we'll see what happens. And yes, to answer the question, this was the Trolla pick. A little bit of a full speed action in the middle of everything. So we go into Sinuous we go. Track number 3. Trolla still is going to be up 2-0 in the series in this grand final. Also a reminder, there is no bracket reset. So if Air White is able to win this, they do not have to go into another best of 7. It's a little bit of a NASCAR part. Few of them decide to drift, and few of them decide to just release. Round we go. Ooh, that's getting close there. Charles and Lingo battling it out in the front. Lingo has a really good lead up ahead against Charles. Up into the identity, and a quick one it is. And that's going to be it. It's going to start with a draw once again. Not too bad. Not too bad of a round. This is actually looking pretty good for Air White. They just need to be able to fix this one up a little bit. Nats can get a little bit of a good push going. You could actually see how it works. And I do see a question about matchmaking points. The top 128 teams overall in the world will get points based on the position of the top 128. SRK doing a really good job explaining that one. Ooh, Charles ends up being the one to fall behind. And both Trolla players up in front. Two of them really putting so much pressure. Nats ends up sliding out, unfortunately. So he's going to be out of this equation as Odaz and Lingo are going to just walk away with this one, essentially. Ooh, Lingo coming at a little bit of a weird line, but makes it work for him. Ooh, Charles snuck up behind. About 34,000 seconds behind. Yeah, it was pretty close. It was actually pretty close. But still, an ace for Trolla. If Ace wins this one, they will set themselves up for match point and can look to shut down Air White and pretty much walk away with this entire tournament, this entire regional tournament, with just 2 maps dropped. That's incredible. Oh, Nats ends up clipping the wall. Falls pretty far behind. Charles is going to be the only one in competition for this one. Charles is going to have to push and try to get at least ahead of Odaz to avoid another ace. And not allow them to get into track point. Trolla gets that ace. They'll get 7 points. Ooh, Odaz ends up making the mistake himself. Lingo way up ahead. And into the identity we go. And Nats is able to get in there as well and force a draw. So nicely done by Nats, capitalizing on the mistakes and pushing their way in. Nice times. Very nice time from Lingo. I mean, what does Lingo eat for breakfast? Oh, we got a round skip. And we have a pause. I have no idea. I did not see actually what happened, so we do actually have a pause going. So you get to see my pretty faces again. I'm going to check real quick. Oh, seems Nats is having a little bit of a physical issue right now. Hopefully everything is okay. Hopefully he feels better, but we'll see what happens. I also, too, need to take a little bit of a drink myself. So, folks, to explain what's going on right now, Trolla was originally actually Lingo and Buckley. Buckley steps down and Odaz comes in due to the roster swap. As long as it was communicated properly, you don't lose all your points. They lost 2 points. So they had 3 points from last regional and lost 2 points. And because of that, they actually come bouncing back into the next regional. They did not play regional 2, but in the first regional, they actually played and got 5 points. And now Trolla is looking to potentially score another. They already have 5 points, and they're looking to get 7 if they close this one out. If that happens, they'll actually tie up with Air Kentucky. If Air Kentucky was able to win and get that 5 points instead of the 3 that they just got being eliminated from Air White, Air Kentucky would have been fine. But because they lost, they're going to be tied in points with Trolla. So it's going to come down to matchmaking next, right? And depending on where you are with matchmaking, you will have to really try to push and get higher ranking in matchmaking. And then depending on that, if they tie again, it will go to a head-to-head. And since Trolla beat Air Kentucky in a tournament, they will instantly take the place. But speaking of Trolla themselves, Lingo ends up making a huge mistake and bumping them. And now Charles and Odaz are going to be up in the front fighting this one out. Nats will also be joining them. Oh, wait. Charles actually makes a big mistake. Nats trying to keep up. Odaz is up ahead. Odaz flying into the wall ride. Nats coming a little low. Into the identity. Odaz seems to be fine, and so does Nats. But Lingo and Charles come in flying up 5-6 seconds later. So we had a bit of 2 1v1s going, and it's going to be a victory for Trolla. Another match point, 7-3. So now, if Trolla can close this one out, get an ace. Ooh, 2 mistakes. Oh my goodness, this was it. That was the moment. That was the moment that Air White was looking for when Lingo made a mistake against that tree, but unfortunately Charles also made that mistake. And now Nats is going to have to push. Charles is pretty much out of this equation. If Nats can try and get a draw at least, it'll be good for them to have another round. But if Odaz gets up in front of Nats, that'll put Trolla at 9 points, and then anything but aces. Nats is able to finish it off. Lingo to follow in third, and Charles in fourth. So that will be a draw and make it 8-4 Trolla only need a victory to finish this one. So going into potentially the penultimate round, but the Air White looking pretty good. I do apologize. I do have a slight emergency that popped up, so I'm trying to handle that at the moment. So for any pause of silence, I do apologize. All right, my apologies about that, folks. I had to step away for a second. But Trolla does win that one. That is 10-5. We are on match point for Trolla, and we're going to be going into Vortex. So now, Vortex is Air White's pick. They could look to bounce this one back, but we're not 100% sure yet. It's not looking good for Air White, unfortunately. The problems that are happening, little personal problems that was happening for Nats, I hope, is not causing a lot of these other problems, but we'll have to wait and see. Everyone getting through that first little circle. And off we go into the ramp. And everyone looking like they made it. Clear jump for them all. And I'm not really sure. I don't remember how Trolla plays on this map. Because I don't think I got to catch any of their gameplay. Ooh, Charles. Unfortunately, making a mistake, bonking there. So now it's only down to Nats. Not that old. That's fine. It's the identity, though. Ooh, that doesn't work now. As pretty as Nats was hoping, maybe. And mistakes left and right coming out. It's almost like the morales are just getting crushed. It's hard to watch. Oh. Okay.
Ace.
So an ace starting off the potential last round. Trolla looking for 3 more aces to close this out. Start for Charles, going nice and low there. Nats decides not to risk it too much. Ooh. Oh, a lot of little clips happening. And what? Whoa, Lingo goes way too high. I don't think I've ever seen anyone get that high up. And Odaz comes flying across, so Lingo makes a big mistake in that. Oh, and then Odaz misses the pipe. So now we're looking to turn this one around and potentially actually have an ace. As Lingo and Odaz falling behind. Nats making a mistake in an area we wouldn't expect. So Lingo now back up in front. This is not that. I don't understand what's going on. Oh, and Nats making another mistake. Lingo is going to be able to walk this one in. Odaz is going to go and walk this one in. Yeah, Odaz is in.
Draw.
Question, can we be rude to players or is it illegal in chat? If it's toxicity, no, you cannot. Not 100% sure what the heck happened there. It was such a perfect moment. It was such a good moment for Aaron White to capitalize on many mistakes happening. So now, Aaron White looking to bounce back from that unfortunate round. Only an ace away. Lingo with a nice lead. Nats goes on the inside. Be a little scary coming down here. Makes it work either way. A lot of speed coming out of this one. And into the bouncing back and forth on the poles and able to work that one out. Charles looking for the top speed and ends up clipping his wheels. But it doesn't matter. The person behind was Nats and tie that one up. So Odaz is not going to finish this one. And honestly, everything's going back and forth. It's so hard for me to even predict ahead what's going to happen. Getting to the point that I'm getting so lost with everything. Lingo up in front again on round 4 of track 4. Aaron White looking for any opening opportunities to try to get back into this one. Charles will take the lead. Lingo will follow. Lingo has been getting insane speed in this. Nicely done by Lingo and Nats. Unfortunately, Charles made a mistake earlier, which made the no engine part really slow for him. So wouldn't be surprised if he falls way too far behind. And getting close to the identity now. Into the wiggles. Back and forth they go as they get through the lines. Where did Nats go? Huh? Wish I had sound effects on a board so I can get that as he goes flying away. 8-2, match point, track point, championship point for Trolla. Oh, this identity is just cruel. It's just cruel, cruel, cruel. And it's looking like this could potentially be it. Who was that? Was that Lingo? It was. Lingo is completely out of this one now. This actually is a good opportunity for Air White. Nats needs to make a push now. Odaz, if he can just hold off into second place and give them at least one more point and make it even harder for a comeback. Charles doing a good job holding the lead. Oh, Odaz makes a mistake, and he's pretty much out of here as well. I don't know how much of Odaz is going to be able to come back from that one, but as long as Nats can stay concentrated on this and not make mistakes. Charles gets through. Nats gets through. No mistakes from here on out. Just close it on out. And they do. So Odaz will follow up 3 seconds behind. Lingo will fall out about 6 seconds. An ace for Air White. They are back in a reaching moment. Another ace will tie things up and give Air White another breathing moment. Up on the ramp now. Nats goes very high. And Odaz takes it really low. Charles will be the one to follow. Better line from everyone here and see if anyone clips. No, Lingo just avoids the little open ring. Oh, but both Lingo and Nats make a huge mistake in bumping into that wall. So now Charles ends up going out. What? So Lingo's now in play as Charles went out. Nats is just pretty much out of here. Not really sure what's going on. Odaz has already approached the identity. Bring him on screen. Oh, Charles tags his car. Lingo. He's going to just try to get through. He does. Ladies and gentlemen, all binary friends, we have a brand new NCSA victory. It is Trolla. Finally, we have someone that is not Damascus Gaming up in front. Congratulations to Trolla for winning it, sweeping in the grand finals 4-0, finishing the last match 11-5. It's nice to, no offense to Damascus Gaming, of course. Love them, of course. But it is nice to finally see a team that is not Damascus Gaming up here in the grand finals, and that will be Trolla. Congratulations to Odaz and Lingo, the second team to ever win an NCSA regional. Hair White was so close. Definitely gotten into a better position, making it to second place. But now it all comes down to matchmaking, folks. So good luck to Trolla and good luck to Air Kentucky. You got to start grinding so you can get those extra points. Because, again, the head-to-head comes if Trolla does tie Air Kentucky in points. Because of the head-to-head with Trolla versus Air Kentucky in the winners finals happened and Air Kentucky lost, Trolla will take the last spot. So good luck, everyone. No matter what happened, with all the bumps and all the bruises, all the funny things that did happen, still good games all around. It was an honor to cast this week. Thank you very much for SRK and the rest of Nadeo for allowing me to cast here on the main Trackmania channel for NCSA Regionals. I hope you enjoyed my casting, and I hope you liked my little experiments that I was trying to get some more screens on there for you all. And enjoy. And if you don't mind dropping me a follow, I would greatly appreciate it. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. We are going to get out of here. That means from here on out, I would highly recommend checking out the streams going on, because I'm pretty sure that some of our NCSA players will be streaming some good matchmaking content for y'all. So get in there, check out their channels. You can always check out through the Trackmania page. I'd love to see you guys out there. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to call it a night. I need to get some rest. 2 days of solo casting and a lot of singing has been a toll on my voice. But thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you again. I'm Randomize. I was your host and caster, and we'll see you all next time.